What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the LetDirtFly YouTube channel. In today's video, we're putting the 4 baddest clutches head-to-head against each other with a surprise in there as well. Now, in this video, we're going to be doing an overview of each clutch, going over the specs, the weight, all that fun stuff, and then later in the video, we're going to actually be putting these things head-to-head with a Dragy device.
Yes.
We're going to do basically an 1/8 mile rip with them and show you different data, and that'll tell us how each clutch is actually performing.
So this test will be performed on my Outlander 850 XMR. It is a 2018. We will be using the STM secondary as the constant. All clutches are set up to shift out within 150 RPMs of each other. So shift out is not going to matter. At this point right now, I need 2 things from you. 1, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? 2, I want you to comment what clutch on this table you think is actually going to perform the best.
So right now, let's go ahead and talk about the disadvantages of the stock primary clutch and go over with you guys why you'd want to upgrade your clutching.
Let's do pros and cons real quick. Pro, it's free. Comes on your quad. That's about the only pro we got out of this.
So the stock primaries, unfortunately, aren't the greatest design. They're not a bad design, but there's many disadvantages of it. The first biggest disadvantage is you don't have a locked sheaves. So all the other clutches we're going to be talking about today have something called locked sheaves, meaning that the front sheave and the rear sheave are locked together.
Yes.
The disadvantage of that is if you're in some nasty mud or on a difficult terrain or something like that, if you have more load going on, you're going to create more heat and in turn start shredding up belts and cause uneven wear.
So what basically can happen is your outer sheave and your inner sheave can spin at different rates.
Yep.
Which will cause uneven belt wear. It can cause your belt to fail. So not a good design that way.
No. Now, the other thing with it is not very tunable. So there are clutch kits out there. All they basically are is a spring change, and sometimes they do come with different fly weights, and that is basically it. So you're not improving much, and plus this thing is a heavy honking son of a gun here.
Yeah, it is.
She's really heavy. I think she weighs in at 13-ish pounds, somewhere around there.
13.
Yeah, so really heavy. So when you do it's basically a waste of money when you do a clutch kit.
Yeah, so if a clutch kit is running you about $250 to $300, and all you're going to basically do is you're going to raise your engagement and possibly your shift out slightly,
and still have all the other disadvantages.
It's not really worth it. You probably want to spend the extra $250 to $300 and actually step up into a far superior clutch.
So the other big disadvantage is the one-way bearing size on this thing. It's pretty large compared to our aftermarket realm here. So the reason being is basically the larger that one-way bearing is, the less the belt can ride down further in the clutch. So when we go to these other aftermarket clutches, we have smaller one-way bearings, which means the belt can go lower. Think of your CVT as a bicycle, or a multi-speed bicycle rather. So the smaller the front gear is and the larger the back gear is, the more torque you can apply. So it's the same thing with these. So the lower we can get the belt into the sheaves and the higher we can get it on our secondary, it's going to add more torque down low. So that is also a big disadvantage of this, is it does have a pretty large one-way bearing. It's not a huge deal if you're not doing like big torquey stuff, but yeah, it is worth mentioning.
Advantage to this is you actually get engine braking, which is a really nice feature. It saves you on brake pads. Brake pads are expensive.
Yeah, the one-way bearing is definitely nice for that. Some of the clutches here do have, like this one, does have a one-way bearing. The rest of them here are just going to have standard two-way bearings. So that is one cool thing that, unfortunately, when you get into the bigger clutching realm and stuff like that, you start to lose a little bit of your engine braking.
So basically, that is the reasons why we recommend, if anything, stepping into a clutch over a clutch kit. And if you're looking to do any kind of real mudding, racing, any kind of like rock climbing obstacles,
or
stuff like that.
Or if you just want more to put more power to the wheels out of your machine.
More power to the ground, we recommend that you actually step into a clutch.
All right, guys, so first up, we have our most affordable option, the CVTech. Weighing in at 11.5 pounds. All right, so about 2 pounds lighter than our stock clutch here. Now, the big thing, what's our one-way bearing size?
Yes.
So let's see here. Let me lock her in. We got 2.04 inches as opposed to 2.16 inches on the stock clutch. So a lot smaller, about 1/10 of an inch smaller. I know it doesn't sound like a lot. So that's going to allow your belt to ride lower in the primary, higher in the secondary, give you a little bit more torque off the line compared to your stock clutch, which is one of the reasons why we love going through these things. So Seth, tell us a little bit about the pricing on this bad boy.
Okay, so the pricing on this bad boy is about $599 to $750. Now, there is two different versions of this clutch. There's an HD and a regular light-duty clutch. So we have a cast plate on the more expensive, heavier-duty one, and you have a stamped steel plate on the lighter-duty one. So the CVTech is a fully casted clutch. You have your cast plate, your face plate, your outer sheave, your inner sheave.
Does have a weight plate.
It does have a weight plate. Now, some people do pull these weight plates off to make it even lighter. Honestly, if you pull this off, you're going to lose another like 3 or 4 pounds.
The problem with that is you can start to throw off the harmonic balancing of your engine. These do come balanced, so it's important when you take them apart that everything goes back together the same way. You just have to usually mark it, so this way you don't throw off those harmonic balances.
Let's talk about tunability of this clutch real quick. This is going to be the far easiest clutch that you can tune. So when you go to tune this thing, all you have to do is take this outside nut off, take this cast plate and the front off. So once you take this cover off, you have access to all of your puck sliders, if you will. You can change your weights 1, 2, 3.
Same thing with the spring. You just pop off the whole
Also,
outer
yeah,
sheave.
if you take the whole outer sheave right off, you can change your spring. I mean, we can do this. If the clutch cover's off and we're just changing the tune, we can actually have this tuned and belt back on in like a minute and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Super fast, super easy. And
It's really a great option if you're just getting into clutching. And
yes, absolutely.
maybe you're not the most mechanically inclined, but you can turn a wrench and want to learn. This is definitely an awesome, awesome option because it's just so easy to tune.
It really is. So one of the other things that comes with this clutch that supposedly it has 50% less moving parts in this than
Everything.
any of these other bad boys. With all honesty, not much moves here. It's really nice.
It's a very simple design, which is what's nice, and
it works.
That's why for years it's been a tried and true clutch, just as a good upgrade.
One of the other things that is possibly a con to this clutch is tire size. You are limited to 32 inches. Can you squeeze 33s? Probably 34s.
We've had Zach run 34s.
You're getting to the max on this clutch, which once you do that, it could actually cause a failure.
Yes. So one thing you'll probably hear about if you're on the ATV forums and stuff like that is CVTechs exploding. Yes, it does happen, but most of the time when it happens, usually there's a reason for it. Either lack of maintenance, not enough airflow through your belt box. Basically, the clutch is just melting
Overheating.
itself. Yep.
Yes.
And because, I mean, we have guys we know like 252 Off-Road. He's running like 130 horsepower through a CVTech.
Yeah.
Has no problems.
Yeah.
You just have to know throttle control. And if you get stuck, your tires aren't moving, and you're sitting there just pinning it, it's not going to work too good. No clutch is going to be happy with that.
No clutch is going to work good like that.
But yeah, so things can happen when these things get hot. Also, the sliders and stuff like that, they're known to melt if they have too much heat. But to be honest, this has been on Seth's quad for 3 years now.
Something like that. And it's basically never been serviced.
Same belt. Same belt.
I have had the same belt, the same pucks,
everything.
the same
We're actually going to give it its first maintenance here while it's off.
Probably. But this clutch has been absolutely bulletproof on my machine. You guys know I do not ride light. I do not ride soft. I do not baby anything. This thing has been bulletproof. It's been a workhorse, and I love it.
Yep. So this is definitely one of our favorite clutches.
Absolutely.
Now, on to the next one.
Yes. And in this corner, the Icon. Go ahead.
Next up, we got the Icon from 3P. We just got our hands on this thing about a year ago.
Yeah.
Definitely been one of our favorites to run. Let's see what this thing actually weighs.
We got 9.7. We're going to go 9.7.
That is considerably lighter than your stock.
Yeah,
primary.
That's what, 3 and change
This
lighter?
was 13.
13 and was it 13 and
This
change?
was 13. That's a lot lighter.
Yes, it is.
So this clutch was just released not too long ago. It's from 3P. Let's go ahead and measure up our one-way bearing, because that thing, I gotta tell you, dude, it's tiny.
So this is your next step up. We jumped to the next bracket. In all reality, the Icon, the QSC, and the STM is this is the heavyweight division of clutching.
Wow. Yeah, we're at 1.75 inches. So inch and 3/4.
Yeah.
So that is considerably smaller than your stock one-way bearing. This is now going to a two-way bearing. I did forget to mention that. It is, and we did weigh these off camera, the lightest in the fleet today. This is one bad mamma jamma of a clutch.
Yes, it is. Okay, so the cost of the Icon comes in at about $900, which is not much more than the CVTech.
Yeah.
So the Icon is actually basically, it's not for a 570. The smallest CC machine he recommends them on currently is the 650. The 650, the 850, the 1000. The 850 1000 just absolutely love this clutch.
God, yeah. We had this on Seth's 850 at Busco last year.
Nasty. It was freaking nasty.
It was awesome. Paired with the STM secondary.
It was. So one of the next things that you actually get with this clutch that you don't have with the CVTech is there is no tire size limit. You want to run 40s? I don't know why, but if you did, you can do it. Tunability. So tunability on this is a little more difficult than the CVTech. Actually, it's a lot more difficult. Marshall, how would you go about tuning this bad boy?
So you can still tune these on the quad. It's just I wouldn't say way more difficult, it's just more time consuming than your CVTech. So in order to do spring changes are pretty easy. You just can take out the main clutch bolt here, and you have to compress the front cover, you take out the bolts, remove the cover, you can pop your spring out. Now to change weights though, that's when it becomes a little bit more difficult. You take your secondary, spread it, get the belt off, then you can go ahead, you have to do the same thing, compress it, take the bolts out, take the spring out, let the outer sheave slide inwards, so this way you can access the flyweights. Then you can go in there, do your adjustments and everything, and it's not that bad. It just takes way more time.
It does.
I would say do some tweaking compared to the CVTech, where it took me about a minute and a half. It's probably 5 to 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes or so.
5 to 7 minutes, and then you got to put it all back together.
Actually, no, I would say it had to be a little bit longer, because that with the puck weights on this, you can just pop them out. This you're unscrewing. You have to do each weight at a time. So closer to 10 minutes, I'd say, to dial in the clutch and then go out to tuning, and you got to come back and do the same thing. So a lot more time to tune this thing. So Russ from 3P basically created this clutch to be a good middle ground between the CVTech and going to straight up billet clutches. Now, his claim with this and what he was trying to achieve is he wanted the fast response of a CVTech, but the belt grab and the bottom end girth that you get with a billet style clutch.
Yeah.
And from our testing, boy oh boy does this thing do that.
Yeah, it absolutely does it.
So the Icon features a forged spider in it, and the rest of the construction is vacuum cast. What that means is it's basically way denser than something like the stock primary, and which is going to give it a lot of rigidity and make it extremely strong. Yeah, but then it also retains its extreme lightness, which is nuts.
Absolutely.
So when he designed the spider on this thing, he basically made it so this way it's going to be the strongest one on the market.
So the Icon also uses the Torlin roller bearing. This is more expensive to the manufacturer, but we reap the benefits of it. Basically, it should not fail unless you go and swamp your belt box and you get sand and mud in there into the actual clutch itself. It's about the only way that this bearing's going to fail.
Yeah, the bearings, if you don't know, they go underneath your flyweights, and they're taking the brunt of everything you're throwing at it as far as your power of your quad and everything. So you got to think, those things are going to be getting beat on. You're going to want something strong. So it's really cool that he put those in there for us, basically.
Flyweight design from the 3P allows us to have a swing from 0 grams to 17 grams. I mean, you're talking about adjustability for this clutch is almost infinite. You set your weight, you set it in your heel or the tip, you know, so many possibilities to completely fine-tune this clutch. We've never spent that kind of time doing it. It's just, we get it really close, and then it's good enough for us.
When you're upgrading to a clutch like this, even from like something like CVTech, this you're gonna have more fine adjustments, more fine-tuning. This is more set and forget. This is for somebody like me that is very like picky on their setup, wants to find just that right power, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
When you have the adjustable heel and tip weights and stuff like that, you can really fine tune exactly how the shift out happens and everything, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With talking to Russ, he also did mention that he was looking to create a clutch that would give you the hardest belt grab and the best torque that you can get out of a clutch.
But without being sluggish.
Okay, without being sluggish.
That's the big thing, because you can get torque. You can get that belt grab right off the bat, but you're going to have a slight bog, or it's just not going to, you're just not going to have the throttle response you want. So basically, when with any of these clutches, and Russ really tried to achieve this with this clutch and the STM, but basically, when a clutch hits, you want the curve to be kind of tall and sharp. So basically, you want the clutch to hit hard and then get right to where it needs to be as far as RPM and everything.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you can get a lazier clutch, and what that'll do, you kind of get more of a layover feel. When you first hit the gas, you'll kind of get more of
it's a slower slope.
And it's going to bog the quad down. And that's the belt grabbing hard, but the quad's not moving yet.
It's not driving it.
Russ's goal with this, and also the other clutch we're going to talk about in a little bit, was to try to get that to not happen. Have as much belt grab as you can without the bog and the sluggish feel, which we'll tell you from running this thing, does a pretty good job of that.
It does.
So that's everything you need to know about the 3P Icon. Let's go ahead and check out the next one. Next up, we have the QSC Rev X RMT. Let's go ahead and throw this bad boy on the scale, and we have
10.6 pounds.
That's about a pound heavier than the Icon.
That is 1 pound heavier than the Icon for a full billet clutch.
This thing is beautiful.
It really is beautiful.
That's probably like, it's something you don't even want to put on the quad. It's so pretty.
I'm going to sleep with that under my pillow tonight.
Yes. That is one fine piece of American ingenuity right there.
It really is pretty. Marshall, what is the size of the bearing?
Let's check that out. We have 1.74, the smallest one we're testing.
So,
by a hundredth of an inch.
The QSC advertises the smallest bearing. According to the micrometer, they're not lying about that.
No, so the smaller this bearing is, you're going to have the most torque you possibly can off the line. Again, referring back to our bicycle diagram. So again, this is going to be really a nasty beast off the line.
Yes, yes it is. And now we have bicycle diagrams. Apparently we're just showing diagrams.
It's the easiest way to compare. Like, most people have ridden a bike. You know, when you go to the smaller gear up front and bigger gear in the back.
No, I really have no idea. I've almost never ridden a 10-speed in my life.
So Seth, what does RMT stand for? Because there's a lot of letters on this thing, I'm not going to lie.
There really is. So the RMT, simple enough, is race, mud, trail. So he basically designed this clutch to be the all-in-one. You want to ride mud? This is your clutch. You want to race? This is your clutch. You want to run trails? This is your clutch.
But what if I want to do like mountain climbing?
If you want to do mountain climbing, you probably need to get a rope and a harness.
So Adam claims on this, just like most billet clutches, that this thing basically doesn't have a tire limit at all. You can go from a stock size tire all the way up to like a 50, whatever you want.
Which is as tall as me, so...
Yeah, it's ridiculous. To be honest, we basically run 32s on most of our stuff. But
yeah,
if you want to run 50s, you can... Not going to have a problem with this
apparently
thing
do it.
at all. So with the small bearing this thing has, basically Adam wanted to try to also not only have all that down low torque, but then also have down track acceleration. So this thing basically is a beast from the moment you hit the throttle all the way to the finish line of if you're racing or doing whatever you're doing. This thing is just going to be an animal, and a lot of that is due to its tall shift weight design. So Seth, I'm looking at the wearing parts on this thing, and they're a lot larger than the rest.
They are a lot larger.
Why would he do that?
Well, the bigger they are, the less they're going to wear. So basically, this clutch is going to last you longer before it
needs some maintenance.
Needs maintenance and or fails, you know.
Now, one thing that he did mention, actually, Adam, is that this actually is designed to be serviced by you.
Yes, absolutely.
So to service most clutches, you a lot of times have to send them out to a clutch specialist, sometimes even to the manufacturer just to go over them, get a new bearing put in, rollers, stuff like that. But Adam wanted to make something that you could do at home. So this thing is designed to be completely serviceable by you. You can order any part you need.
Replace all the parts that you need.
Which is nice. I'm not going to lie.
Really nice. Cool. So Marshall had to send his STM out when it failed in the skeg. I had to send mine out because when I bought the Rennie, it was not taking care of it all.
It spent its life underwater.
Unfortunately, $400 or $500 to get these clutches fixed. Where, you know what? I mean, even if the company only charged us minimal on their labor, we were still paying a couple $100 in labor alone. So I mean, that's savings onto you, which is really nice.
That's huge. Now, adjustability on this thing is going to be pretty similar to the Icon and STM. You do have to take the belt off to be able to adjust the flyweights, and also, again, compressing it, take the front cover off. That gains you access to your spring. So a little bit more hard to adjust things, but I will say it gave you some nice room to get in here, though, in order to get into your weights. Actually, to be honest, I think you can actually probably adjust the flyweights on this without having to remove the flyweight from the clutch.
I believe it looks like you should.
Yeah, because on the STM and the Icon, I always just take the weights out, the flyweights, to do any kind of adjustments. Whereas this, actually, it looks like I can probably get to them right from the sides here, which is actually pretty cool.
Now, this clutch is one that he shipped it out to us, and it was really close, right? We didn't tune this at all.
No.
So Adam actually asked us what we were going to be using, and what size tire, weight roughly. We told him, he sent it out, and we actually did not have to adjust this at all. So we really don't even know how the ease of adjustment is. We actually did adjust every other clutch.
That's because they've been in so many different applications.
Yes. So this is the only one we actually haven't played with yet. So.
Yeah. But it looks pretty standard and actually, like I said, almost simpler, actually, because you can get in here.
You can really get in there, which is really nice. This clutch comes in about $1,200, which is the cheapest of the two billet clutches that we reviewed here today.
Not by much. I think it's like $75 or $100.
Yeah, it's probably right around $100.
So sticking with the USA build on this thing, it is all USA sourced aluminum. We got T6061, and then we also got some 4140 and 4340 alloy steel. Yes. So pretty beefy unit and pretty dang lightweight for what this thing is. So excited to see what this thing actually does. All right, so now going from one billet clutch to the other.
On to the next one.
Let's see what we got. So next up, we have the STM Rage 3P. Now 3P sounds familiar because 3P off-road Russ there.
Weighing in at a whopping
11.8 pounds.
11.8 pounds.
That's so it's
pretty heavy.
2 pounds lighter than this. It is heavier by
about a pound and a half than that, and about 2 pounds heavier than the Icon.
Okay, still lighter than? Is it lighter than the CVTech?
I believe so. No, same weight.
About the same weight by
no,
200.
Same weight. Oh, Okay,
or sorry,
11.8.
2/10. Sorry, 2/10. By 2/10 weight difference there. So basically CVTech weight. So those of you on all the forums that say CVTech's the lightest, it's literally
False.
false at this point, especially with the Icon.
We didn't know it either.
Yes,
so,
we didn't know it either until we pulled out the refrigeration scale and saw
actually
this.
weighed every single clutch.
So before we talk about this thing, let's go ahead and talk about the bearing size here. Let's see what we got. So we have, I can pull it out nice and say, I think it was 1.87 inches.
Okay, so
So a little bit bigger.
a little bit bigger.
Smaller than the CVTech, right?
Yep.
Yes, a lot smaller. Wow, than the CVTech. CVTech's over 2 inches.
Yeah, so
and way smaller than your stock one.
1.87. The Icon was 1.75. The QSC Rev X was 1.74. So
Yes.
still small compared to your factory and the CVTech, but the largest of.
It's
I
the
wanna say the
largest
big
by literally though, like
a couple hundred.
15 or 0.15,
Okay.
0.15 inches,
So
which is like nothing. So it's pretty, pretty like
it's still small.
the difference. Yeah, the difference between these three. I will say the CVTech definitely much larger, but these three here, massive difference. You're under 2 inches, so
Yes.
huge.
Yes. Price point on this clutch would be roughly $12.65. Maybe you can get a little bit cheaper. Maybe it's a little bit more, but right around that price range. Applications you want to use this clutch on is your 800 and 1000 cc machines.
We didn't have much luck when we tried on the 650, although we're going to try again here soon. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about that in a little while.
Yeah. With the full billet design again, it's gonna really do well with heat. So when you're really running these clutches and you're just wide open throttle in skag or in mud or anything like that, these things are going to be far superior.
It's not going to care much.
Yeah, I mean your heat isn't gonna, your high heat isn't gonna hurt these things at all.
Again, adjustability, a lot more difficult than your CVTech, but
Right
basically
on par with your other
Yep,
Icon
so
and
still,
QSC.
this one you do have to drop the belts out in order to get to your flyweights. I personally just pop the flyweights out to do my adjusting. It's just a lot easier to do it because you just bring the flyweights over to the bench, change them around, throw them back in. So this guy, along with the Icon, they run Polaris, they're called PATV springs, which makes them super adjustable that way. You can basically get any combination of high stall, low stall. When I say stall, I basically mean your off idle RPM and everything, and the way it shifts out and everything. So it's basically pretty limitless with this thing. Whereas CVTech, they have their own springs, and there are many springs with them.
There are.
But what we found with the Icon and the STM, just because of the spring assortment, there's just so many out there, you can really fine tune exactly how the quad behaves.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be honest, I'm not sure about the QSC because we had never really
haven't played with it yet.
Yes, so I'm definitely not saying anything bad about that. So just like the Icon and actually with the QSC, you got adjustable cam arms. That's going to allow you to adjust your heel and tip, we call it. Heel, tip, there we go. Basically just fine tune shift out capabilities and everything, more belt grab, that kind of stuff. So really cool stuff you can get into when you get into these bigger clutches.
So back in 2013 when Russ helped to develop this, he was trying to make the clutch that just had the most belt grab, the most power, without being sluggish, which, I mean, this thing is all of that.
So yeah, Russ's claim to fame with basically each of these clutches here is definitely trying to get rid of that sluggish feel. Now, when we tested the QSC, I'll tell you, did not feel sluggish either.
No sluggish.
But Russ really wanted to work hard on making that thing, making both of these not sluggish at all.
Yep.
So basically, again, same thing. I'll throw up that chart real quick. But you want to have that nice sharp peak as early as you can in the shift. You don't want to have a lazy hangover or anything like that.
No camel humps.
No, nope. You want nice and sharp, so this way the thing gets right into power right away and starts ripping as hard as it can. So this also does have a forged spider as well. So again, really strong design. Basically can take anything you throw at it. Really cool clutch. We've had this thing for a while now, done a lot of testing with it, and it's been, besides the one time it broke on me, really reliable.
Yeah.
Everything, like I said, the reason it broke, probably on me. But Seth, this isn't the last clutch though.
It is not the last clutch. We actually do have one more clutch that is not a prototype. It's actually...
It's on the market now.
It's on the market now. We were one of the first to get it, and let's talk about that. So you might be wondering what's in that blacked out outline. And Marshall, why don't you grab it and tell them?
We have QSC's newest design here. This is called the torque lock conversion. So this here was made by QSC. It is basically
12.3 pounds.
Oh, sorry, I had my hand on it.
No, you didn't, but I got it before.
12.3.
So what is the factory?
It was 13.
13 point
Definitely the
something?
heaviest. Holy Jesus.
13.4. Okay.
Definitely feel a weight difference in all these. Man.
So, basically this is 1 pound lighter than the factory clutch. But it's very interesting because you're using part of your factory clutch when you get this.
So Adam's goal with the torque lock conversion was to basically get rid of all of the flaws of the stock primary. The one big one. And the name speaks it.
Yes. Now you are locked.
Yes, you now have locked sheaves. Basically, this is going to help massively with heat. Now, what you get in the box with this is you don't get a complete clutch. You get most of the clutch.
Yes.
So in the box, you get a brand new billet back sheave. You get a billet spider. You get 3 non-adjustable flyweights and 3 adjustable flyweights. And you also get a primary spring. Yes. Now, depending on your setup, Adam might also send you out a secondary spring. Just depends on the setup you're going to go with and everything. That's kind of the same with all these. But that's what you get in the box. You do reuse your factory one-way bearing. Yes. So we are keeping the stock 2.16
yes.
inch one-way bearing. And you are reusing the outer sheave.
Outer sheave.
Yep. So it's not a big deal because actually the stock clutch is not a horrible design.
No, it's not.
No, it works great. Actually,
it really does.
The 1000 behind me here, thing rips.
It does.
But yeah, it had its flaws. So this, like I said, locks it.
Yes.
This thing is going to be awesome. What was his market with this thing?
Basically, I hate to say it, but he's going after the CVTech. Mm-hmm. He wants that lower to middle price range.
So because this retains your stock one-way bearing, you are stuck at the 2.16 inch sizing and everything. So not gaining a ton down low, but the way this thing is adjustable and the way it can change a lot with it, this is, from our testing, completely outperforms the stock clutch.
Oh God, yeah.
By a lot.
God, yeah.
A lot.
We actually have very high expectations for this. We haven't done a ton of testing on it yet. That's coming. We're gonna
put it in mud.
We're also gonna put it in mud, but
yes.
You know, this is a really cool clutch at that lower price range of $750. Yeah. Now.
Right, what did we say?
What did we say the CVTech was? Like $599, like $600 to $750.
Yeah, but depending on where you buy it from, you can get $750.
So this is the same price as a CVTech, and I'm not saying it's better or it's worse than the CVTech. It's different, and the CVTech has got the tunability and everything. So does this. I'm really looking forward to actually testing this more and more.
The big thing I think that he was also shooting for with this is maintenance, because I will say the stock clutch is, for the most part, not maintenance free, but it's very, very low maintenance, very easy to maintain. So this thing, basically because it uses all the stock components, is very, very low maintenance. So when you put this in, you're not going to be having to rebuild it. Like technically. And one thing we forgot to mention, most of these clutches, technically once a year, maybe every other year, you should get them serviced and everything, go through and replace some bushings. We never have, but we're supposed to, technically, to keep them operating as good as the day you got.
Yeah.
But this thing will last thousands of miles without issues.
Yeah.
So that is really cool. And now that you have a billet back sheave, that's going to help with some heat and everything.
Yes, it will.
So which is really, really nice.
Yeah, this is a very interesting design. So basically, I would say 2/3 of this entire clutch is now billet, which is fantastic, especially for that price point. I mean, a billet clutch under $1,000.
You could say you have billet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, it does look pretty sick. So
it does.
If you run one of those clear covers or whatever,
hell yeah,
that'll look pretty badass.
That would look good.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That doesn't look the prettiest behind a clear cover. This though, looks good.
Yeah, the STM, the Rev X. I mean, the Icon.
Icon actually
doesn't have that wow looking factor.
It's not shiny.
No,
the Icon's more just it gets it done.
Yeah. So
the billet's more like, look at me.
Oh yeah, the billet is definitely like, look at me.
Let's talk about a little bit about the locked sheave versus the unlocked sheave you get with the stock primary. So basically, what that can create is a lot of heat. That's why we're talking about locked sheaves with all these, and stock primary is the only one that sits over here and spins. That locked sheave is everything. So everything is going to squeeze together the same when you get under extreme loads in the mud, or if you're just like doing some extreme trail riding, maybe running oversized tires. This thing is going to stay true. It's not going to create excess heat and everything. This is going to be a great option. Yeah. And to be honest, I think this, because of the whole exploding CVTech thing, might be a good option.
So like the CVTech, they're both basically recommending max tire size of 32 inches. So he really did design this to go after the CVTech. I mean, shots fired.
Right at it.
USA, Canada. Ah!
Yes. No, this is super cool. We're excited to see what this thing actually does in the mud. We actually personally haven't tried it yet in that. We actually just got our hands on this as well as the Rev X. So we're going to be testing all of them this summer. So
yes, plus there's
stay tuned for that.
Just nothing but ice and snow everywhere. It feels like we live in Canada right now.
Yeah. Now, if you want to see more in-depth videos on some of these clutches too, make sure you guys are subscribed so this way you don't miss out on any of the content.
And make sure you are also following us on our social medias, because we do actually post things as we work on quads and stuff like that. So, you know, you might get firsthand information or knowledge that other people aren't privy to.
That's right.
Follow us. So as the Rev X, we also have the T6061 aluminum, the 4140 and 4340 alloy steel.
All USA sourced, which is awesome.
Yes.
We're big, as you can see, big American guys. So love that stuff.
Some of us are bigger American guys.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the testing we're going to be doing now with all of these bad boys.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to get into the testing portion of the video.
Yes. The fun part.
To keep a constant for you guys, so this way, this is the most fair test we possibly can, we're going to be using my STM secondary. So the current setup on it, in the testing we did, it has a 35 EN helix, and it actually has a yellow spring in it. It has a gold right now, but
I was going to say it's gold. But
we did in our testing, we used a yellow spring.
Yes.
Now the only thing we changed between any of the clutch setups with the secondary is the belt deflection.
Yes.
That is literally just a matter of some spacers. It is just the belt tension. There is no performance gains at all.
Nothing.
Basically, the bigger one-way bearing clutches, we had to add shims in order to get the belt the correct tension.
Yes.
So that is literally the only difference at all.
Yes.
So now let's go ahead. Let's get each one of these individually bolted onto Seth's quad and do some Dragy runs in our testing location in Mexico where it now snows.
Yes.
All right, so our first contender up, we have the CVTech Trail Block. Let's put this thing on the road and see what this thing can do.
Yes.
All right, guys, we're at our testing facility in Mexico where it now snows. Climate change. We have the Dragy device facing upwards to get the best satellite data it possibly can. We ended up finding out roughly what 8th mile is, but we're also going to be measuring our 0 to 20, 0 to 30, 0 to 40 times, as well as our 330 foot and 8th mile. So we should be able to see roughly between each clutch. To make this simpler for you guys, we're going to do 3 runs each, but we'll only show you the best run out of each clutch. So the run you see is going to be the one that I ran the best at. So right now, we're going to go ahead and start testing these bad boys. All right, got the CVTech here. The old trail block, very good clutch. We've always had very good luck with these things. Let's see what she can do. All right, she ripped pretty good.
Okay, so now that we're back here, what did we find out? So the first thing I guess we're going to talk about is what we feel ourselves, our butt dyno, if you will. What'd you think?
This is our baby. This clutch is a bad mamma jamma. It's always been so good to us. I did feel maybe down low, kind of what Russ talked about a little bit, like just that kind of little layover when you first get in the gas. It doesn't pick up like some of the other clutches, but once she does pick up,
oh yeah,
she moves out.
She moves.
It feels great. We have a 1017 spring in this right now. That's more for our mud riding style and everything.
Yes.
But yeah, this thing felt great. Other than a little bit of, I felt like a lag, I guess you'd say, off the line compared to some of the other stuff we're trying today. That's the only thing I felt. Other than that, felt amazing. What do you think?
Yeah, so kind of like what you said. So for the first clutch, and obviously we have run all these clutches at this point, so we can kind of go back and forth a little bit between them. I felt that this one performed very well. I felt like if I was in my throttle, let off the gas, and jumped back in my throttle, that it wasn't necessarily right there. It was like it needed a second to build up to get back into, say, that
instead
power.
of, say you're cruising at a, I'm going to sound like an idiot now. Say you're at a, and you go to just give it the throttle, instead of going, run, it's, like it's more of like a swell end, I guess you could say. It's more sluggish, I guess you could say. It's definitely not.
It's not instant.
It's not instant.
But it felt great.
You can make it instant also. This is just the setup we have in it.
Can we make it instant? Maybe you can.
You might be able to with a more aggressive starting rate spring, but 1017 is pretty
aggressive.
Pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like right there. So definitely though, awesome performance though. So right now let's go ahead, let's talk the real data. So this is just what we felt. What's the real stuff actually say though? So
we are going to give you the 0 to 20, 0 to 30, 0 to 40, and 0 to 1/8 mile times. So the 0 to 20 is 1.24.
Yes.
So that's pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
That is actually pretty quick. I mean, so when you hit that gas, it's moving.
Yep, and I believe there's some 60-foot times in the video as well. You might just sing them as well, because that is the only thing we don't have listed here.
Okay.
0 to 30, we're looking at 2.12 seconds. And then 0 to 40,
3.35 seconds.
Yeah, so pretty good.
So, I mean, she's moving pretty quick. I mean,
that's the main numbers we're talking, like we're going to be paying attention to, because the 1/8 mile numbers, by then the clutches are at full shift out and everything. So we're more trying to pay attention to the earlier numbers. We just figured the 1/8 mile is a good place to stop as far as our full run out of everything with all the clutches. Yeah. So, but I mean, great numbers.
Yeah, no, those are great numbers.
So that was a CVTech trail block. Great clutch. Now let's go ahead and see what this QSC torque lock conversion is all about.
Yes.
All right, so this is the QSC torque lock conversion. Let's see what this thing can do. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get a nice clean start here. Here we go. Putting those DP brakes to test. Dang. All right. Let's see what we got. So that was the QSC torque lock conversion. Honestly, very, very similar feel, in my opinion, to the CVTech, which is exactly, funny enough, the market he was shooting for.
Yes, it was.
The engine braking works awesome. Literally like stock, which was great. Felt good. And the power, very, very, very good power, to be honest. Like I said, I would dead nuts compare it, I'll dare to say, to the CVTech. Yes, that has a smaller one-way bearing than this, but this might have had better pull up top, like this from mid-range up.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's what I feel.
It's definitely a huge improvement over the factory clutching.
God, yeah.
And like Marshall said, I mean, it's almost spot on right there with the CVTech. They have that same feel, you get back in the throttle. It's not instant, it doesn't have that instant power.
No, it's definitely
that you get with the
way better than the stock setup.
Oh God, yes.
Way better. You can feel a difference. Yeah, I liked it. It was pretty nice.
It was nice. It was really nice.
Curious to see what she'll do in some mud later on this year.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about the Dragy results.
So just like the CVTech, we're gonna go same things here. So we got 0 to 20 miles per hour was 1.29 seconds.
Very good. 0 to 30 was 2.11. So again, they're so close right there, both of these.
Well, let's see. The CVTech,
it started as a 1.24.
1.24 for CVTech. This is 1.29.
1.29.
So little slower off, which is expected because of the larger
one-way or larger bearing in general.
Yeah, larger bearing. Yep. And then 0 to 30 is 2.12 versus.
So that was pretty much spot on.
It was faster 0 to 30.
Oh.
So this thing just wasn't as aggressive off the line, I guess you could say, as a CVTech. But then to 40, it's a little bit slower.
Yeah, so CVTech apparently just kind of started pulling a little bit more, almost spot on with each other. And then the 8th mile.
Basically, the race would be like this. With each other.
It would basically be like this.
Yeah, they'd just be. I mean, like you're talking tenths of a second here.
Yeah, not much.
Actually, hundredths in some instances. And then overall, in the 8th mile, we're talking literally only a difference of 0.2 hundredths of a second. So literally dead nuts to the 8th.
Pretty much, yeah. So those two clutches perform damn near identical.
That's the market you're shooting for with this thing.
Which is amazing.
That's
because we absolutely love the CVTech. So this torque lock conversion should do everything that the CVTech does.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna find out very soon here. We're gonna throw this on one of the quads. Not sure which one yet. But we're gonna see what this thing does in some mud because I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, that's gonna be a different test.
Yeah, this is more just straight line speed, but in the mud, we'll have to see how she does.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a QSC torque lock conversion. Let's check out the Icon from 3P Off-Road. All right, guys, we got the Icon by 3P Off-Road. This has been an awesome clutch we've been using for a while now. It's been actually very, very reliable and basically worked right out of the box. So excited to see how it does against the other clutches. And I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and do this. A lot of torque off the line, I can tell you that.
So the next is the Icon from 3P Off-Road. This is, we're going to step up into another classic clutch with this clutch right here.
We'll put this in the same class
as the billets. This thing performs as a billet clutch at a lower price point and a lighter clutch.
Light. Feels super aggressive out of the hole.
Very aggressive. I mean, you're talking belt grab from the jump.
Yes.
It doesn't let off.
No, I will say once it gets higher in RPM, or not, maybe not higher in speed.
The higher your speed goes, it stops pulling.
It did lose a little bit up top, maybe just personal feel to me, but down low to like the mid range, like so if you're like a mud rider kind of thing.
Yeah.
Holy God.
Yeah, this thing really is impressive. Russ did a great job when he designed this, and the price point is right there in between the CVTech and the full billet at $900. It's worth every penny.
Let's see if the data backs what we say.
Yeah, okay. What do we got?
All right, so the Icon, we had 0 to 20 in 1.26 seconds. That's
1.26.
actually the slowest to 20, funny enough.
Yeah, that's
Oh, no, sorry.
1.24.
No, hang on. Sorry, that's the second fastest.
1.24 was the CVTech, 1.26 and
1.29 was the
1.29.
So 0 to 20 was like middle between those ones. But 0 to 30. So we got 2.09 seconds versus 2.12 from the CVTech and 2.11 from the QSC here. So
it is right on line with that.
The 0 to 40, we had 3.31 versus 3.35 and 3.43 from the QSC. So the fastest to 40 miles an hour. This is just showing you where it's performing better. So this thing from mid-range up, it seems, is like...
Well, I mean, you're only talking, what, hundredths of a second between this and the
That is the other thing, too. Yeah.
I mean, a hundredth of a second, you're really not going to...
So that's...
You're going to feel that on a drag strip.
3.35 and what did I say, 3.1? That is 4 hundredths. You're not going to feel that at all.
So it's... The CVTech is performing right on par with it.
Yes. And then the QSC to 40 is about a tenth behind. Not super far off. It's like 3.43. But funny enough, in the 8th mile, it's only, what did we say, 2 hundredths slower. Yeah, 2 hundredths slower than this. Actually, no, it was faster. 2 hundredths faster than the CVTech to the 8th.
And what did the Icon do to the 8th?
In the 8th, I think the Icon did. Actually, funny enough,
not as well.
9.93, so right in the middle of the two.
Okay.
They're all within a hundredth of each other so far.
But
so if you were to put these three on an 850 XMR, 3 separate 850 XMRs with everything else the same setup and everything, they would literally be crossing the finish line at almost exactly the same time. It'd be a dead tie.
Yeah. But with that smaller bearing in there, with that, it just gives you that extra belt grab that you really feel in the seat of your pants,
yes,
as opposed to see on a Dragy.
Yeah, I will tell you that you do feel the low end power of that.
You do.
You do feel that compared to these guys. You do feel that a little bit. Again, not shooting these down at all because this is we're getting into a different category with this thing.
Yes.
But definitely that pulls pretty dang good. These are still like as you can see by the data, literally right there with the big dog.
You know, you have that, it's that instant response when you come off the throttle and come back in. I mean, it's a great feeling clutch.
Yeah, that thing, we've had it out a lot and it's performed great. So that was a 3P Icon. Now let's go ahead and check out the Rev X from QSC.
Yes.
And see what that thing is all about. All right, guys, we have the good old billet QSC here. We haven't had much experience with this thing, but she rips, I can tell you that. So let's go ahead and see what she does against the other clutches. All right. Your parking brake's stuck on. So next up we have the QSC Rev X RMT. So we're relatively new to this clutch, so we can't say how well it does in the mud or anything like that. I will tell you that we are unexperienced with it in that realm. But we did, off camera, both feel how this thing works. And I will tell you, I feel like out of the other clutches, this had the best, how do I want to put it? Like, if you're just, say you're idling along the trail and you pin it, RPM, right there.
It puts you in your power.
Yeah, like
instantly.
Yeah, that was cool about this. I will tell you that. Like that, compared to the other clutches we've tested, I did notice massively because each one you do feel differences with. And that's the biggest difference I felt with this one, is this thing, like from any part of the throttle, you give it some more throttle, and it just takes off. There's no lag, there's no nothing, it just boom.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's where he designed it to be the race mod trail.
Yeah.
You know,
That'd be good for trail racing.
Oh, absolutely.
For mud riding, if you're in and out of the like. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I will say, maybe not quite as aggressive as the STM, but you're going to see the STM in a minute.
Yeah,
but, I mean, it's so close, it's not even funny.
I do feel that maybe the Icon and the STM had that initial, that belt grab.
Yes.
Feeling.
This was like
instant.
This was like instant,
off the line belt grab, like that. They grabbed hard. But this grabbed hard too.
This was like instant belt grab, but then also like instant RPM.
Yes, your RPMs were
like the other ones. I felt like did a little dip for a second, which is just that initial, obviously belt grab. But this was just RPM.
Yeah. Now this clutch. This clutch performed very well on the butt dyno, at least.
Let's see what the Dragy says.
Let's see what the actual dyno says.
All right. So our 0 to 20 time, we got 1.22 seconds, which I believe to this point
fastest.
Yes, is the fastest. 220 miles an hour. To 30 miles an hour, we got 2.07 seconds, which I think also might be
the fastest, or it might be 1,000th of a second off.
It's the fastest.
It is the fastest. Okay.
Yeah, because the other ones are in a 2.1 realm still, actually.
Oh, okay.
So again, screaming when this thing is
power.
Yeah, it's just putting the power down right off the line and everything. And then let's see, our 0 to 40 time, we got 3.34 seconds. So
now there's starting to be a lot of numbers that I don't remember everything.
Yeah, so now that's basically putting it right there with the rest of them. We got 3.35 from the CVTech, 3.43 from the QSC torque lock conversion. We got 3.31 from the Icon and 3.34 from this. So a little slower to 40.
Okay.
Not sure why, but
I don't know.
Again, these all have their own different characteristics, each clutch, which is cool.
Now,
and you're seeing that now. So this thing pulls hard down low.
Yes.
Maybe not as hard as like these ones mid-range to like top end speed, but down low, holy crap.
Yeah.
It's literally actually quite significantly faster to 20 than the other clutches and everything.
What's the eighth since we're using that?
So the eighth, 9.94. So literally, again, if we put 4 850 XMRs side by side, they're all within 1/100th of each other.
Okay.
Literally dead even.
Okay.
An eighth mile. So again, we're not paying attention to eighth mile that much. This isn't a drag quad. This is a mud quad that we're drag racing essentially.
A mud quad with 32-inch truck tires on it. So.
Yes, I don't think we mentioned that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, down low though, this thing. Whew,
yeah,
that's a nice.
She's getting it.
That's a nice piece of machinery there.
Yeah.
So that was the QSC Rev X RMT. Let's check out the STM Rage 3P. We got the good old billet STM 3P. This is the one that was designed with 3P off-road and STM. Been a great clutch to us. Let's see what she can do. Here we go. I'm not gonna lie, she felt pretty good. Yeah, so that was the STM Rage 3P. This is the clutch that Russ there from 3P worked with STM on and made a hell of a piece of, I guess you could say artwork. When they're new, they look nice and shiny. When they're a little used and abused, like mine is.
They're still pretty shiny.
It's still pretty shiny. It's still pretty shiny. But honestly, out of all the clutches we tested today, felt very similar to the Icon. Extremely similar down low.
Yes.
Belt grab up the wazoo. I will say maybe slight belt grab more than a QSC. Top end felt pretty similar to the Icon.
Which felt very similar to everything.
I was gonna say I'll compare this to the Icon, or I'll say this is basically spot on with the Icon in my personal feels. Great belt grab. it just seemed to have good power across all the whole entire RPM range.
Yeah, it really did.
It felt great.
It did.
What do you think?
So I will say that we initially had tested this with a different spring on it, and it did not feel anywhere near as good.
I had a less aggressive spring in it.
So we changed the spring on it, and boy, did that make a difference. It really did wake this clutch up.
We basically put the same spring in it that's in the Icon.
We were looking to make these clutches shift out right around the same area, which was about 7,800 RPM.
Roughly 75. No, sorry, 77.
It was like 7650 to 78.
Yeah, it was right around there. And that RPM, you're not going to feel much of a difference.
No, a 50 RPM difference, plus or minus, is not going to change anything. This was the best I've ever felt this clutch feel. Because normally this is on your machine, and it usually feels like shit.
Because I had the wrong spring in it.
And you also had shims in your secondary. This was the best I've ever felt this particular clutch feel.
I basically said we found out doing this, I basically had my STM set up wrong the whole time.
Yeah, his secondary was set up for a CVTech, not an STM. This thing actually performed really, really well.
Yes. From our experience in the mud, it's always worked great.
This thing pulled freaking hard.
Well, why don't we back up all this blabbering and look at the actual data. Let's see
what it actually says.
So 0 to 20, STM was faster to the 20 miles an hour by about 400ths of a second. Again, this is hundredths of a second. Something you're not gonna really feel the difference in 400ths of a second.
No.
0 to 30, we had 2.06 as opposed to 2.07. So literally 1/100th faster to 30 than the QSC.
Yeah.
Again, you can make the QSC.
Oh, yeah, you can.
That. It just depends on setup.
Absolutely. And like I said, we never even touched that clutch.
2.09 was the Icon, just because we're in that same realm. So again, all within 100 or 200ths of each other. 0 to 40, 3.23.
That's the fastest.
Definitely quite a bit quicker to 40. Actually, the only one that came close was, let's see, it was 3.23. Everything else is in the 3.3 range. So that's significantly. So this thing was back half and like a son of a gun.
Yeah, it was.
I will say that. I think that was due to the spring. Because this we have a red and silver spring, and this one is
a solid red.
Solid red, and so it's different finish rates with those. I'd have to look at the chart to see what the actual difference is, but yeah, it's pretty significant there. But then like I said, that 8th mile time is quite a bit more, but again, could be due to that spring. We're more looking at the beginning numbers. So basically,
this would win by a bumper, really.
Yeah,
I mean, when you break it down to that,
so
and
looking at all these clutches,
it's a lot of money.
There's how much money do you think's on this table, dude?
1, 2, 3, 4, 4,500, 4,800, not including taxes.
We're spending our money to help you guys out.
Yes.
All to find out that these things are basically all within 100th of each other if you were to drag race your buddy that has a different clutch.
Now, in theory,
now that yes, these numbers say one thing.
Yes.
But what we actually felt was another thing.
Yes.
So let's talk about the clutches as a whole here. As far as not about, again, this is not a video of which one's the best or whatever. We're not going to say because the STM had the best numbers of the day, that it's the best clutch. It could have had a little bit better air. We did film these all in the same day, by the way, to make sure that the air was roughly the same, just to keep the playing field that level.
Yeah.
So I will say, basically, there's a big difference in feel between this side of the table and Seth's side of the table.
That's right.
These ones, well, I'm not going to even count the stock clutch and none of that. So these guys, I feel like are a great option as an upgrade coming from your stock clutch. Just if you're not going to be balls to the wall rider, you're not going to be. I can't even say that because
I'm just going to say I don't agree with you at all. Because I ran the balls off that clutch.
I know. That's what makes it tough.
Done so well.
me put it this way. These feel squishier. Is that a good term?
No, I'm gonna go with the power is not instant.
Compared to these.
On and off the throttle. You're still getting the belt grab. I mean, none of these are really lacking much from the initial hit.
Compared to these, you do feel a difference.
You do feel a difference. So the bigger your tire is, the heavier it is. Those are going to struggle a little bit more. Where these three aren't going to struggle
I wouldn't even
at
say
all.
you struggle because you've had this thing,
Dude, I'm telling you,
in nasty mud.
yes,
We have yet to have this thing, but I already know just because the performance was so
it's
similar,
gonna do
it's going to
great.
be.
But these are a little bit better. Like if you're in just the thickest, nastiest of peanut butter,
Yes.
these are going to grab better than these.
I think if you're trying to do a budget build,
Either one of those.
either one of these, if you can afford a little bit more, this.
Icon, but
But these, just to honestly, I was after all of our testing and stuff like that, went much test this and what and stuff, because this performs so much better than the stock clutch, I almost want to put this on my dad's because my dad has a stock 650. I feel like it'd be great for plowing, great for because that's got mud setup on it. So I could basically do everything with this, and it's going to feel so much better than stock. Same thing with the CVTech. This has been our tried and true clutch since almost the beginning of the channel.
Yeah.
Really.
Did I get mine first, or did you get yours?
I got mine first.
You got yours first.
Yeah, and I ordered it from the wrong place. I'm not going to go there, but
Yeah.
that is one thing to consider with all these clutches is it does come down to also where you buy your clutch from. Unfortunately, and I can't even say that either. If you order the Icon straight from 3P, or the STM from 3P, or the CVTech from 3P, Russ there is a mastermind with these clutches, and he knows, he's been there, done that.
They're going to come
It's gonna
out
be-
of the box almost spot on.
I had to adjust this by by 100 or 200 RPM when I ordered this. I actually ordered this through Can-Am Powersports, but he does all of his calibrations with 3P. So again, it basically was 3P doing the calibration.
Yep.
I barely had to do any adjusting. What we're trying to tell you is any of these clutches, when you get them, might need slight tweaking, because even though you buy them off these clutch experts and stuff like that, they are not there with your machine, so they can't fine tune it to the best of its ability. It'll come as close as it possibly can, but there might need to be a little bit of fine tuning.
Yeah, there will. I mean, Marshall's running 32s and I'm running 32s, and you know what? They're 4 pounds heavier or lighter, and the rollout diameters, one's a true 32 and one's short.
Yeah, so
every tire is going to be different.
Every tire is a little bit different. Every engine's slightly different, broken in different. So one can be looser.
There will have to be fine tuning.
Yeah. If you order a QSC, each one of these from QSC, actually you might be able to soon buy it through.
Yes, I was talking to Adam from QSC, and he looks like he's going to be setting me up with a dealership. So you should be able to purchase your QSC clutches from me at redlinepowersports.com.
And you're going to be doing all the calibrations with Adam.
Actually, I will be doing the calibrations with Adam. I will be taking your specs and what you're looking for out of it and making sure that it comes as close as possible.
Yeah, so it's, like I say, it's tough. You're not there with the machine, so I unfortunately ordered from the wrong place, and I'm not going to mention any names because I definitely don't want to shoot anybody
Not
down.
on kill. Definitely not
No.
on kill. It was
But-
way before that.
Yeah, it was way before we knew our buddy Josh there. But yeah, I ordered my CVTech, and it was set up so wrong. I struggled with it for a while and everything, but it wasn't until I reached out to, I'll call him, he's not even a dealer for CVTech, but we call him the CVTech expert, the CVTech master, and it is Mark Sommer. He's been super helpful, actually with all clutching.
He's really
helping
a clutch
understand.
expert.
Yeah, he's just a clutch expert in general, but he's a diehard CVTech guy. He's got a 100 horse naturally aspirated Can-Am. He rides around with that thing, and he knows his CVTechs. They're again easiest clutch in the world to adjust.
And unlike you, I literally took mine out of the box, threw it on.
It's been basically
awesome.
perfect. We adjusted it for more RPM later on.
We did. Once I flashed the ECU and raised the rev and everything else, we did have to adjust it. But when I got it out of the box, it was spot on.
Now, the QSC torque lock conversion. This is still brand new. I think this has only been out for a couple months, if that. Even at this point, this is early 2025 right now that we're filming this. And so it's still very new.
Yes.
I don't think it's on YouTube at all yet. We're probably the first people to kind of put it out there. We're excited to see what this thing's going to do in the mud. We're gonna figure out what machine to put it on. We might try it on.
I was gonna say we're
multiple
probably
machines.
gonna try it on multiple.
Yeah, we'll try it on Seth's 1K Renegade. We'll try it on the his 850. Even we can even try it on nitrous build. We can see what it does with some horse torque behind it when I hit the button.
Yeah, he wasn't sure about that. He was like, I have no idea.
You gotta find the breaking point somewhere. You gotta find the breaking point somewhere.
Because I did ask him about that, and he was just like, I really don't know.
We are definitely excited to try in the mud because there's not much on it yet. Adam's obviously been the main tester because he's the creator of the thing. So,
Yes.
But now we got our hands on one. We want to see what that thing is all about. Now the Icon, that thing has been a beast of a clutch. I will say it is a bit of a step up between these guys.
Yes.
This, in my personal opinion, but not shooting these down. But that thing just felt great all around. This is relatively new too. This has only been out for
That's what, 2 years?
Not even. It's been like about a year.
Okay.
So it's still pretty new to the market. Now QSC Rev X RMT. We don't know much about it yet with the mud, so we can't give much opinions on that yet because again, we just got our hands on one. It has been out for a while. This is the latest rendition of it.
Guys completely swear by this clutch.
Yes.
The same as they swear by the STM.
Yep.
You know.
And the CVTech.
You know, people absolutely swear by this clutch. It seems like it's pretty much bulletproof.
Yeah, it's billet, so it can take all the heat in the world for the most part. It can do whatever you throw at it. And
absolutely.
We're excited to see what the thing can do on our mud builds and everything. We're gonna first have it, I believe, on Seth's 850 for now, and we're gonna see what it'll do on that thing for a while.
Yep.
Then we might swap out because right now I'd run the STM on my quad. Might swap it out and see what it does with some nitrous behind it.
Yeah.
Kind of see. Not everybody's run nitrous, obviously, but just to see.
Just
to see what it'll do. You don't know. You gotta try these things to see how they can hold up and everything. But these things. Some guys are. They say they'll never use any other clutch besides the QSC. So
yeah.
And we're excited to see what you'll do.
Absolutely.
And then we got the STM.
True STM 3P. Yeah,
3P.
no.
It's been out for a while. It's probably one of the OGs. The two main OGs here, I think, are these two guys and the QSC. They had earlier versions.
I was going to say there was earlier renditions of that.
But these guys have been around for a long time.
What did we say? He designed this back in like 2013.
That's basically when the G2 came out.
Yeah, but adjustability, everything else. I mean, it's a pretty much
a good clutch.
If you maintain this clutch, it's bulletproof.
Yes,
you know?
I will say the STM is. I had to send it out to get it maintained, whereas QSC you don't have to do that. I think you do have to send out the Icon. You can get the tools to do all this stuff yourself as far as maintenance goes.
Yeah,
but I think the STM, you have to torque down the spider nut to like
500 foot-pounds or something stupid.
That is insane.
I do. Looking at these three clutches right here, I'm gonna put these two. So when we talk about adjustability and different things like that, like working on them. Now, if you look at the STM, it's got Allen heads on it.
Yeah.
So these Allen heads,
they strip out a lot.
The Icon has the same exact thing. Now, you strip that out. I don't know. That's,
So I have stripped the bolts on the Icon, or on the STM before.
The QSC actually has
regular bolts.
Regular bolts. So I'm thinking, not that it's any form of a decision maker at all, but like, I'm thinking this is easier and safer, if you will.
Yeah.
To work on, because you're going to definitely be able to put a socket on this and adjust it where, God forbid, your Allen's just a little rounded and then you round it out.
I've done it, dude. I actually keep a set of faceplate bolts for STM in my little STM box of springs and stuff like that.
I had to drill mine. We had to drill one. Was it the? Oh, actually, no. It's missing one.
Yeah, that one's missing. It's missing one. I have to get the bolts for the secondary. Yeah, STM uses Allen keys that can round out.
So, like, a little check mark for the QSC. You being able to work on it. It's a little bit nicer.
I will say,
that
maybe
way.
when we do a QSC video, we'll take it apart. See what it's about.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because I want to see, what, like, if he claims we can do it.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe try a different spring. Maybe we can get it a little more aggressive. And I do want to change the shift out a little bit. I want that close to that 8,000 mark.
He wants to see the 850 grenade is what he's saying. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is we did today's testing on an 850. Now, the results on a 1000 are probably going to be pretty similar, but on a 650 or lower CC quad, I don't think the results are going to be anywhere close to the same.
No.
It's because you have a lot less power going to these things.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing the same testing essentially, but on a 650 soon. We definitely want to throw all these on a 650 to see if, well, first of all, I'm curious to see what this does.
I don't think I'd throw that on.
I don't know. I never tried to adjust it for 650. Guys do run the STM 3Ps on 650s.
Yeah.
I know everybody's always going to the good old tried and true CVTech.
That's your
but do we have some new players in town?
I think we do. Absolutely have.
Do we have new players in town?
I believe so.
Will this work with the 650?
I don't know. I mean,
we have all the clutches here.
Yeah. And we have two 650s here.
Yes.
3. Marshall, if you had to pick one of these all around that you like the most, which one would it be?
My favorite? It actually changed, by the way.
I don't know what it is. I know the Icon is right up there.
I'd go Icon.
You go Icon?
Dude, the price point
Yeah.
and the performance that you can get the performance out of that for
$300 less.
Yeah. That personally, that's me.
Yeah.
But I mean, for my build though, might not be the best choice because I am gonna be running nitrous and stuff like that in my quad. And although I do trust, because I know some guys are running these with nitrous builds, something about billet, it's a lot of power.
It's a lot of power.
So I just wanted that. So personally, for my setup, I would like to run the STM. But as an all-around clutch for at least the 850 in this testing and everything, I don't know. I like that.
No, I do agree with you. That is a really great. You're getting billet performance out of a lesser price point.
Which is insane.
It is.
What would you go with? I have a feeling I know what you're thinking.
I'm thinking the QSC only because it was like the throttle control with it, like that.
It felt
everything was
the
so
smoothest.
instant, and yeah, it really was really
the
nice.
The throttle response was, I felt, the smoothest of the clutches. I could be totally wrong, but I just felt like it was definitely the smoothest. So I see where Seth's going with that.
I'm saying all around feel, not even price point in consideration. I'm thinking the Rev X just has like the slightest little bit over the Icon, the STM. But I'm not gonna lie, if I was basing this whole comparison on money, I would do one of those two. I mean,
oh god, yeah.
The CVTech, I bought that because it was the cheapest
I've had
one,
to see how this does in the mud still.
I absolutely love that.
This has been our tried and true
dollars for performance, I would go with the CVTech.
This thing also, like, again, so easy to adjust.
Yeah. I've had that for 3 years.
This is actually crazy easy to adjust now too.
Actually, it really is easy to adjust.
Because dude, this just pops right off here.
Yes.
Well, it's a little tight right now because it's all tightened down, but this just pops right off there and you get right into your flyweights and
it's really nice that way. It really is.
Again, it's like the CVTech, which is exactly what he set it up for.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what this thing does. And I think as one of our tests we do, if this works, if this works good on the 650, I think we put the two 650s head to head.
In the mud
and see how they feel in the mud side by side.
Yeah, but yeah, if I was basing my total opinion on cost factor, I would go CVTech. If I was basing on money doesn't matter, I would go with the QSC, the Rev X.
Like I said, personally to me, the Icon just is like the best of all worlds to me, and the price point is literally in the middle of all of them.
Yeah,
I'm still I don't know. This still has me wondering. Like, I want to see what this thing does in the mud.
That's the whole thing. We haven't seen it.
We haven't experienced it enough yet. So we're definitely not shooting this thing down at all.
No, not at all.
This I already know is going to be an animal.
Yes, that's
proven.
proven.
This though, I don't know. I'm curious.
If it performs like the CVTech does, it's going to be awesome clutch.
So I hope this video helps you pick which clutch you feel is best for your build. Like I said, take all the information and kind of
do with it what you will.
Yeah, do with it what you will. Like I said, we are going to be putting together a 650 video soon, so make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. And make sure you definitely are subscribing because we got some more videos on clutching coming up soon.
Yep.
We also want to possibly do a clutch tuning video as well. We're going to probably do that with Mark Sommer and some other clutch experts. So we want to do a bunch of stuff for you guys. Yep. Seth, where can I catch us on the interwebs? You
can catch us on Facebook and Instagram. Shoot us a message. You know, definitely make sure you follow us because we do release little things on social media about upcoming videos, stuff like that. We really appreciate all you guys. It really means a lot. You know, as a small channel, you guys are fantastic. Thank you.
And thank you to companies. Thank you big time to the companies that helped us with all of the clutching needs here. We got Mark Sommer helping us set up the CVTech. We got Adam right from QSC helping us set up the QSC stuff. And we got, well, a combination of Russ from 3P, setting up the clutches and everything, and this actually believe it or not, Mark Sommer was helping with the with those two. So big shout out to those guys and for the companies, and then again thank you to QSC for sending out the clutches. And we're excited to see what they're going to do in the mud and everything because we personally haven't run them yet. So so until next time, we'll have to catch you guys on
Let Dirt Fly.
Have you forgotten where you were?